There was a time when my bank account showed nothing but numbers too small to matter. I had desires, dreams, and ambitions, but the world around me seemed to say, not yet. I tried everything, work, struggle, effort. But all I found was resistance. Until one day I realized the truth. The world is only reflecting me. If I see lack, it is because I have spoken lack into existence. If I see delay, it is because I have assumed delay as my truth. I put aside doubt, fear, and effort. Instead, I whispered 3 words, 3 simple words that shattered the illusion of limitation. I spoke them morning and night, not as a plea, but as a declaration. I spoke them as if my wealth was already here, already mine. I felt the words vibrate in my chest, radiating outwards, bending reality to match the conviction within me. Nothing outside of me mattered anymore. Days passed, then weeks. I did not check my bank account, nor did I question when or how. My only job was to remain in the knowing. Then, out of nowhere, it happened. The first opportunity came, effortless, unexpected. A deal, a connection, a flow of money I could not have predicted. And then another, until one day, my reality reflected exactly what I had spoken. I said them as if the wealth was already in my hands, as if I was already the person who owned it. And because I believed, the world had no choice but to comply. This is your power. If you can assume, believe, and declare it done, without wavering, without questioning, the universe must obey. So today, forget struggle, forget effort, stand in your power and say, it is done. Feel it, believe it, and then watch as the world reshapes itself to match the truth you have spoken. Every word you speak is a decree, a command shaping the unseen forces that mold your reality. You may not realize it, but the words you utter, whether in passing or with deep conviction, set the course for what appears in your life. Words are not just sounds that dissipate into the air. They are vibrations that move through the fabric of existence, calling forth circumstances, opportunities, and experiences in perfect alignment with what has been declared. Most people speak carelessly, unaware that their words are painting the canvas of their lives. They say, I'm always broke, and reality obediently reflects their statement. They say, nothing ever works out for me, and the world rearranges itself to confirm that belief. But there's no magic in lack. There is only the power of assumption turned in the wrong direction. What if instead of affirming struggle, you began to declare abundance? What if you chose your words with precision, as a master craftsman chooses his tools? To understand the true power of spoken words, you must grasp that they are not just expressions of your current state, but seeds of your future. The words you speak today will become the reality you live tomorrow. It is an immutable law. You have seen this principle in action, even if you were unaware of it. Think back to a time when you spoke of an outcome with certainty, whether good or bad, and it came to pass exactly as you had declared. That was not coincidence, that was manifestation. The subconscious mind is always listening, absorbing every word you say, taking it as an instruction. It does not distinguish between what you want and what you fear. It simply hears and obeys. When you say, I can't afford this, your mind registers lack and ensures you remain in that state. When you say, I am always in the right place at the right time, life begins to align in ways that confirm your words. Consider the example of those who have risen from nothing to great wealth. More often than not, they spoke their success into existence long before they saw any evidence of it. They declared their wealth when the world still called them poor. They insisted on their prosperity when reality suggested otherwise. But their words carried weight because they were spoken with belief. The key is not simply to say words, but to say them with conviction. Words that are empty of belief carry no creative power, but words spoken with faith become living things. They take shape in the unseen, drawing to you people, opportunities, and circumstances that match the reality you have declared. If you truly understood this, you would never again speak against yourself. You would never again say, I am unlucky or I don't deserve success. You would refuse to use words that diminish you, limit you, or hold you back. Instead, you would speak only of what you desire, as if it were already yours. You would say, I am prosperous, even when there is no physical evidence. You would say, everything is working out for me, even when things seem uncertain. The external world is nothing but a mirror reflecting your inner state. It cannot show you what you have not first declared. Change your words and you will change your life. The universe is listening, always waiting for your command. Speak wisely, for every word is a prophecy. The world around you is not fixed. It is a direct reflection of the assumptions you hold within. Everything you experience, every circumstance you encounter is the outpicturing of your inner state. If you want to change your reality, you must first change what you assume to be true. This is the great secret. What you assume with feeling and persistence becomes your experience. You are not waiting for your desire to materialize. You are stepping into the version of yourself where it already exists. Most people live their lives believing they must work towards their desires, striving, hoping, and wishing. But this is backward thinking. The moment you place something outside of yourself as something to be attained, you create a gap between you and it. And as long as you perceive that gap, it remains unfulfilled. The key is to assume that what you desire is already yours. Not in the future, not someday, but now. You must take on the feeling, the inner knowing that your wish is already accomplished. Think of someone who is wealthy. They do not wake up wondering if they will have enough. They do not question whether or not they can afford something. They live with a quiet confidence of abundance. It is not an effortful state. It is natural to them. If you desire wealth, you must assume the state of the wealthy person now. You must walk, talk, and think from that reality, not towards it, from it. Bhavani thinks it. This is not pretending or daydreaming. This is embodiment. There is a distinct difference between hoping for something and knowing it is already yours. Hoping keeps it at a distance. Knowing draws it into your world. The law of assumption states that when you fully accept a reality within yourself, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. It is an unbreakable law. Many have used this truth to transform their lives. A man who was struggling with financial hardship did not focus on his lack, nor did he wait for some external force to change his conditions. He assumed wealth. He did not merely say the words, he felt it. He moved through his day with the confidence of a man who already had everything he needed. He made decisions as though money was not an issue. He spoke, acted, and thought from a place of financial security. And soon opportunities arose, ideas flowed, and wealth found its way to him. The world conformed to his new inner state. The same principle applies to health, relationships, success, everything. If you desire love, you must assume you are already loved. Not that love will come, but that it is already present in your life. You must feel the warmth, the joy, the fulfillment of being in that perfect relationship. The one who constantly wonders when love will arrive is assuming its absence, and so it remains absent. But the one who knows they are deeply loved will see it manifest effortlessly. Your only job is to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. This is not hard work, it is simply a shift in awareness. Close your eyes and see yourself living the life you desire. How do you feel? What do you hear? How do you move through the world? Take that feeling and carry it with you. Let it become your dominant state. Do not waver. Do not look to the outside world for validation. Assume it is done, and it must be. Reality is not happening to you, it is responding to you. The moment you shift your assumption, the world shifts to match it. Do not wait for proof. Assume it now, feel it deeply, and it will materialize with absolute certainty. Your mind is like a fertile field, and the words you repeat are the seeds that take root and grow into the reality you experience. The subconscious mind does not question, it does not argue, it simply accepts what it is given. It is the silent architect of your life. constructing your experiences based on the thoughts, beliefs, and affirmations you feed it. The more you repeat something, the more your subconscious mind accepts it as truth. And once it accepts something as truth, it must externalize it into your world. Most people unknowingly use this principle against themselves. They repeatedly affirm things they do not want, reinforcing limitations and struggles without realizing they are the ones keeping these conditions alive. They say, "I can never catch a break," "money is hard to come by," or "I always attract the wrong people." These words, spoken over and over, imprint upon the subconscious mind, which then ensures that reality mirrors these assumptions. It is not a matter of luck or fate. It is simply the law of repetition in action. But what if you use this power consciously? What if, instead of reinforcing lack and limitation, you began to affirm abundance, success, and happiness? The same law that keeps people stuck can also set them free. The subconscious mind does not care whether you are affirming wealth or poverty, love or loneliness. It will accept whatever you tell it, provided you repeat it enough times. Repetition is the key. When you first begin affirming a new belief, it may feel unnatural. You may not yet believe it, and your current reality may contradict what you are saying, but this does not matter. The subconscious mind does not work with logic. It works with persistence. If you continue repeating a statement, eventually it will bypass the conscious mind's resistance and become embedded as a deep-rooted belief. And once something is a belief, it becomes effortless. Consider someone who has achieved great success. They did not get there by accident. Consciously or unconsciously, they affirmed their success long before it was visible. They spoke words of confidence, certainty, and achievement. They persisted in these declarations until their mind accepted them as fact. And once their mind accepted them, reality had no choice but to align. The secret is consistency. You cannot affirm something once and expect immediate results. Just as you do not go to the gym once and expect a transformed body, you must train your mind with repetition. Every time you say, "I am wealthy, I am loved," or "everything works out for me," you are reinforcing a new mental blueprint. And just like water carving stone, repetition will reshape your subconscious patterns over time. The best way to use this power is to make affirmations a part of your daily life. Say them when you wake up, throughout the day, and before you go to sleep. Write them down, speak them aloud, think them in your mind. The more you immerse yourself in these new thoughts, the faster they take hold. Even if doubt arises, continue. Even if your current circumstances seem unchanged, persist. Your mind is always listening, and with enough repetition, it will believe what you tell it. Many people have transformed their lives with this simple practice. They have gone from lack to abundance, from loneliness to love, from struggle to ease, all by repeatedly affirming a new reality until it became second nature. And once something is second nature, it manifests effortlessly. You do not need to force change. You only need to persist in speaking what you desire until your subconscious mind accepts it. Once it does, it will work tirelessly to make it real. This is the power of repetition. What you say consistently, you become. Speak wisely, for your words are the seeds of your future. Words alone do not create reality. Feeling does. You may repeat affirmations 1,000 times, but if they are empty words without feeling, they remain lifeless. It is the emotion behind your words that gives them power. Your subconscious mind is moved not by mere repetition, but by the intensity of belief and feeling attached to what you say. Think of a moment when you felt deep love, overwhelming joy, or immense gratitude. Those emotions were so real that they shaped your entire perception of the world in that instant. Now imagine applying that same intensity of feeling to the things you desire. If you can feel the reality of your wish fulfilled before it physically appears, you set the wheels of manifestation in motion. The universe does not respond to your words alone, it responds to the energy behind them. Most people live in a cycle of desire and doubt. They want something, but as they affirm it, they feel lack instead of fulfillment. They say, I am wealthy, but their inner feeling is one of scarcity. They say, I am loved, but deep down they feel alone. This is why many struggle to manifest their desires. They are speaking one thing, but feeling another. And it is the feeling that manifests. The law is not that you get what you say, it is that you get what you feel to be true. Feeling is the secret ingredient that transforms a mere thought into an unquestionable reality. If you want to manifest wealth, you must not only affirm it, you must feel wealthy now. Walk as though you already have all that you need. Feel the relief, the security, the excitement of abundance flowing through your life. If you desire love, you must feel the warmth, connection, and joy of being in a loving relationship now. The world cannot bring you something you are not already feeling within. This is why visualization is so powerful. When you close your eyes and see yourself living your desired reality, do not just see it, feel it. Engage all your senses. If you are manifesting success, imagine the feeling of shaking hands with someone congratulating you. Hear their words of praise. Feel the satisfaction in your heart. If you are manifesting a new home, feel the texture of the walls. Hear the sound of your footsteps echoing in the rooms. Breathe in the fresh scent of the space. The more real it feels to you, the faster it must come to pass. Doubt is what delays manifestation. When you affirm something but feel the opposite, you are sending mixed signals. The key is to persist in the feeling of your wish fulfilled until it becomes natural. In the beginning, it may feel like you are pretending, but as you continue, your subconscious mind begins to accept it. Once your assumption feels natural, your world shifts to match it. Have you ever noticed how a person deeply in love glows with happiness? Or how someone who truly believes in their success moves with confidence before they even achieve it? This is the power of emotion in action. They are not waiting for external proof. They feel it first, and reality follows. You do not need to see evidence to believe. Believe first and the evidence will come. This is the essence of manifestation. It is not about waiting for circumstances to change before you feel joy, wealth, or love. It is about generating those emotions now so that your reality has no choice but to conform. Whatever you desire, feel it now. Immerse yourself in the joy of having it. Let that feeling become familiar. Speak your desires with deep conviction, not as something you hope for, but as something you already possess. Once you make the shift from wishing to knowing, from hoping to feeling, your manifestation becomes inevitable. Reality must match the state of mind you dwell in. Choose to dwell in the state of already having what you seek, and soon the world will reflect it back to you. The world you see around you is not fixed. It is merely a reflection of the beliefs you have previously held. Everything in your external reality, from the circumstances you face to the people you encounter, is a projection of the assumptions you have accepted as true. But here is the key. What you see now is only the result of past thoughts. It is not a permanent condition, nor is it a limitation. If you wish to change your life, you must learn to ignore what is currently in front of you and place your focus entirely on the reality you desire to create. Most people live reactively. They look at their circumstances and allow them to dictate their thoughts and emotions. If they see lack, they feel poor. If they see rejection, they feel unworthy. If they see failure, they assume they are incapable. But this is the trap, believing that the world is happening to them rather than realizing that they are the ones shaping it. They remain stuck in a cycle, reinforcing what already exists by continuously acknowledging and reacting to it. To manifest a new reality, you must break this cycle. You must stop giving so much attention to what is and instead focus on what you want to be. This is not about denial, it is about shifting your awareness. If you desire wealth but your bank account shows otherwise, do not dwell on the number you see, do not speak of it, do not stress over it, and do not allow it to define your state of mind. Instead, assume the feeling of already being financially abundant. Walk as if you are already living in that reality, and let your emotions align with it. When you understand that the physical world is nothing more than a mirror of past beliefs, you gain the power to transcend it. Just as a mirror cannot change on its own, your external world will not shift until your internal assumptions do. If you stand in front of a mirror frowning, you cannot wait for the reflection to smile first. You must smile, and then the reflection will change. The same is true with your life. You must first become the person who has what you desire in mind and feeling, before the outer world reflects it back to you. This requires discipline. It requires you to refuse to be fooled by appearances and instead place your faith in the unseen. The moment you declare something as yours, the process of its manifestation begins. But if you allow doubt to creep in, if you look around and say, "I don't see it yet, so it must not be working," you undo your progress. The seed is planted the moment you assume your desire is real. You do not dig up a seed every day to check if it is growing. You trust the process. You water it, nurture it, and know that it will emerge in time. Faith is the bridge between your current reality and the reality you desire. It is the ability to believe in what you do not yet see and persist in that belief until it becomes visible. Those who master this principle understand that reality is fluid, not fixed. They do not allow temporary circumstances to shake their conviction. They know that if they hold fast to their assumption, the world must conform to it. Ignore the current reality if it does not align with what you want. See it for what it is, a passing reflection of old thoughts, not a life sentence. Dare to believe in the unseen, to persist in your new assumption, even when there is no physical proof. And if you do this consistently, the world will have no choice but to shift in response. Your faith in your new reality makes it real. Hold on to that, and soon what once was unseen will become the only reality you know. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between desire and reality. It is the unwavering conviction that what you seek already exists, even when there is no physical evidence of it. Faith is not passive hope. It is not wishing for something to happen while fearing that it may not. True faith is knowing so deeply that doubt cannot take root. It is standing firm in the assumption that what you have declared as yours is already done. The greatest obstacle to manifestation is doubt. The moment you entertain doubt, you weaken your creative power. You may affirm your desires, visualize them, and speak them into existence, but if, in the back of your mind, you question whether it will happen, you slow the process. Doubt is like uprooting a seed after planting it, constantly checking if it is growing. Faith, on the other hand, is the gardener who plants the seed, waters it, and knows it will bloom in time. The key to manifestation is to see with the inner eye, not the outer eye. The outer eye sees the current reality, the circumstances, the limitations. But the inner eye sees what is becoming. It sees beyond the present moment into the realm of possibilities. And here lies the greatest secret. Whatever you see inwardly with certainty must be made real outwardly. Many people make the mistake of letting their senses dictate what they believe. They look at their bank account, their relationships, their environment, and allow what they see to determine what is possible for them. But faith works the other way around. Faith declares, "It is already mine," and persists in that belief even when the outer world suggests otherwise. The universe does not give you what you wish for, it gives you what you believe with certainty. Faith is more than just positive thinking. It is a deep inner conviction so strong that it cannot be shaken. It is the absolute refusal to entertain any reality other than the one you have chosen. A person with faith moves differently. They do not beg, chase, or force things to happen. They do not react in fear when circumstances seem unfavorable. Instead, they stand firm in their assumption, knowing that the unseen reality is more real than what their eyes currently perceive. This is why those who manifest effortlessly are not the ones who try harder. They are the ones who believe without wavering. They do not need reassurance from the outside world because they have already settled the matter internally. Their conviction is unshakable. When they say, "I am wealthy," they feel wealthy before the money arrives. When they say, "I am loved," they feel loved before the relationship appears. They live from the end, acting as though their desire is already theirs, and because of this, reality bends to match their assumption. The moment you accept something is true in your inner world, the outer world begins to rearrange itself to reflect that truth. This is the law. But most people sabotage themselves by allowing fear and doubt to creep in. They affirm their desires in the morning, but worry about them in the evening. They say they believe, but deep down they wonder when it will happen, how it will happen, or if they are doing something wrong. And in doing so, they delay their own manifestation. Faith is the absence of doubt. It is not concerned with how or when. It does not seek reassurance from external conditions. It simply knows. And this knowing is what speeds up manifestation. When you truly believe something is already yours, you stop searching for proof. You stop second guessing. You stop living in a state of waiting. You become the person who has already received it. And once you fully step into that state, the physical world must conform. This is the power of faith. It does not beg, it commands. It does not hope, it knows. It does not waver, it stands firm. When you cultivate this level of conviction, nothing is impossible. The unseen becomes seen, and what once seemed distant arrives effortlessly. Hold on to your faith with unshakable certainty, and reality will bow to your belief. Everything you desire is already yours the moment you claim it in consciousness. The words you speak, the beliefs you hold, and the emotions you embody shape the reality you experience. The physical world is not set in stone. It is merely a reflection of past assumptions. When you understand this, you stop reacting to circumstances and start creating them. The secret to manifestation lies in unwavering faith, the ability to see the unseen and persist in your assumption despite appearances. Repetition reprograms the mind, emotion fuels the manifestation, and assumption brings it into reality. Doubt slows the process, but certainty accelerates it. The moment you stop looking for proof and start living as if it is already done, the universe aligns to bring your vision to life. Ignore the present if it does not match your desire. Hold steadfast to your chosen reality. Speak it, feel it, and walk as though it is already yours. The world will have no choice but to reflect your conviction. Thank you for listening, and remember, what you assume to be true becomes your truth. Close your eyes for a moment and ask yourself this: what do I truly desire? Now open your eyes and look around. Do you see it? Likely not. And this is where the battle begins, between what reason tells you is real and what your heart knows is possible. But let me tell you, reality is not the final judge of your dreams. You are. The first step in believing something when reason denies it is to acknowledge that reason is a tool, not a master. It is bound by the evidence of the senses, while your imagination is boundless. Reason will always tell you this cannot be done because it only knows what has already been done. But imagination, it creates what has never been seen before. To believe, you must step out of the realm of reason and into the realm of imagination. The secret lies in this: you must feel it real. You cannot simply wish or hope for something. No, you must embody the state of already having it. What would it feel like if your desire were true right now? What would you do? How would you act? Who would you become? Let that feeling flood your entire being until it takes on a life of its own. This is how you plant the seed of belief in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. But as you plant this seed, understand that the world around you may not change immediately. Your senses will cry out, "Look, nothing is different. This is foolishness." Do not give in to them. The senses are like mirrors. They only reflect what already exists. But belief, true belief, is the sculptor that shapes the mirror's reflection. Ignore the evidence of the senses. Detach from what appears to be and instead dwell on what must be. Reason will also bring doubt. It will whisper, "Who are you to achieve this? How could this ever happen?" But I urge you to see doubt as an opportunity for faith. Every doubt is a chance to reaffirm your conviction. Use those moments to say, "It is done. My desire is already mine." Persist in this assumption even when the outer world gives you every reason to stop believing. Persist until the invisible becomes visible. Trust the process. The manifestation of your belief will not always come in the way you expect, but it will come. Do not concern yourself with the how or the when. That is not your work. Your work is to believe, to rest in the assurance that your desire is already yours. Just as the sun rises each morning without your effort, so too will your belief bring forth its fruit. Like dawns, you wake up tomorrow only to find the sky blue. So I leave you with this truth. Belief is the bridge between the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknown. When reason denies it, imagination proclaims it. Feel it, trust it, and persist in it. And soon, what was once a mere dream will stand before you as your reality. Reason works within the confines of what it can measure, quantify, and observe. It thrives on facts, patterns, and logic, drawing conclusions based solely on what has already been established. While this is invaluable for navigating the practicalities of daily life, it often serves as a roadblock when one seeks to go beyond the ordinary and step into the extraordinary. To believe in something greater, something unseen, unheard, or unprecedented, reason alone is insufficient. This is where imagination takes center stage. Imagination is not restricted by the limitations of time, space, or circumstances. It is the creative force that enables us to see beyond what is and envision what could be. Through imagination, we access a realm where all things are possible, where potential exists unbounded by the current state of affairs. It is the spark that ignites innovation, the force behind all progress, and the key to manifesting a life beyond what reason dictates as achievable. To believe the unbelievable, one must shift their attention from the external world of facts to the internal world of vision. This shift requires a deliberate detachment from the senses. The eyes may tell you that your circumstances are fixed. The ears may hear the doubts of others, and your own reasoning may whisper, "This is impossible." But none of these hold true power unless you allow them to. When you close your eyes to the external and look inward, you discover a landscape where limitations dissolve and new possibilities emerge. It is in this inner realm of imagination that belief is born. Belief does not arise from evidence, it arises from conviction. When you imagine vividly and consistently, your mind begins to accept the imagined scenario as real. The subconscious, which does not differentiate between what is seen and what is imagined, begins to align itself with this inner vision. As the curse comes independently, bearing you closer and closer to this fruit, it starts to operate as if the imagined reality is already true, drawing circumstances, opportunities, and ideas into your life that resonate with this belief. This process requires courage. The world around you may mock your vision, dismissing it as wishful thinking or sheer delusion. Even your own mind, conditioned by years of reliance on reason, may resist. But understand this: every great achievement in history was first imagined before it became reality. The Wright brothers imagined flight when reason declared it impossible. Visionaries throughout time have imagined realities that defied every fact and limitation of their era. They succeeded not because they accepted what reason dictated, but because they dared to trust in their inner vision. To cultivate belief through imagination, you must practice consistency. Let your mind dwell on the end result of your desire, not on the obstacles in its path. See yourself as already living in the fulfillment of your dream. Feel the emotions, hear the sounds, and embrace the sensations associated with it. The more vivid and real this imagined state becomes, the more deeply it impresses itself upon your subconscious mind. Through this process, The boundary between imagination and reality begins to blur. What once seemed unbelievable becomes a natural part of your experience. Reason will then attempt to claim credit, pointing to logical explanations for how things unfolded. But deep down, you will know the truth. It was not reason, but imagination that created your reality. Imagination is the foundation upon which belief is built, and belief is the force that transforms the invisible into the visible. It transcends every limitation, turning the impossible into the inevitable. True belief does not originate from logic or rational thought. It arises from feeling. The subconscious mind, which governs much of your reality, does not respond to reason or facts. It is indifferent to what is true or false, possible or impossible. Instead, it operates through the language of emotions and feelings. To change your outer reality, you must first communicate with your subconscious mind by embodying the feeling of your desire as if it has already come to pass. When you wish to manifest something, simply thinking about it or hoping for it is not enough. Thoughts, unless charged with emotion, remain fleeting and ineffective. The subconscious does not act on ideas alone. It acts on the emotional energy behind those ideas. This is why you must go beyond mere visualization and immerse yourself in the experience emotionally. It is not about imagining that your desire might happen someday, but about stepping into the state of already having it now. You must feel the joy, relief, excitement, or gratitude that comes with the realization of your desire, as if it is already yours. This is not an act of deception or self-delusion, but an intentional act of creation. When you feel something deeply, your body and mind begin to operate as though that feeling is a reality. Your actions, thoughts, and energy shift to align with this inner state, and in turn your external circumstances begin to mirror it. This is the law of life. Your inner world creates your outer world. To embody the feeling of fulfillment, start by asking yourself, what would it feel like if my desire were already fulfilled? Close your eyes and allow yourself to dwell in that state. Imagine the sights, sounds, and sensations of your fulfilled desire. If you desire financial abundance, for example, imagine the weight of money in your hands, the freedom to do what you wish, and the security that comes with it. If you long for love, feel the warmth of companionship, the joy of shared moments, and the comfort of being fully understood and accepted. Whatever your desire, immerse yourself in the emotional reality of it. Let the feeling wash over you and take root within. It is not necessary to know how or when your desire will manifest. The how is not your concern, and the when is irrelevant. Your sole responsibility is to maintain the feeling of fulfillment. The more consistently you dwell in this emotional state, the more firmly you impress it upon your subconscious mind. And as this impression takes hold, the outer world begins to shift in response. People, opportunities, and circumstances will naturally align to reflect the state you have embodied within. Doubts may arise, and the world around you might present evidence to the contrary. But this is where your faith must prevail. Feelings are not bound by the constraints of the senses. They transcend them. When the outer reality contradicts your inner vision, return to the feeling of fulfillment. Let it become your anchor, your constant truth, regardless of external appearances. This practice requires discipline, but its rewards are profound. By embodying the feeling of your desire already fulfilled, you activate the creative power within you. You move from being a passive observer of life to a deliberate creator of your reality. In time, what you feel within will become visible without. Your outer world will align with your inner state, and the fulfillment you once only felt will become the life you live. This is the essence of true belief, feeling it real until it becomes real. The five senses are powerful tools for experiencing the physical world, but they are not infallible guides when it comes to creating a reality that transcends current circumstances. They function as reporters of what is, not of what can be. If you rely solely on what your eyes see, your ears hear, or your hands touch, You risk becoming trapped in a loop of perpetuating the same external conditions. To manifest a new reality, you must learn to detach from the evidence of the senses and anchor yourself in the unseen reality you wish to create. The outer world reflects the sum of your past thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. It is the residue of your previous inner states, not the defining truth of what is possible. When you allow your senses to dominate your perception, you become bound by the limitations they impose. If your bank account shows scarcity, your eyes may convince you that abundance is unattainable. If your relationships are strained, your ears may echo words of conflict that reinforce disharmony. These appearances are not permanent truths. They are malleable and can be reshaped by shifting your focus inward. To detach from the evidence of the senses, you must recognize that the unseen reality within you is the true source of creation. Your imagination and inner convictions are far more potent than the fleeting appearances of the external world. Begin by withdrawing your attention from what you do not want. When faced with a reality that contradicts your desires, resist the urge to dwell on it or react emotionally to it. Instead, turn inward and focus on the reality you wish to manifest. This practice is not about ignoring reality, but about transcending it. A gardener does not dwell on the barrenness of a winter field. They plant seeds with the conviction that spring will come. Similarly, you must plant the seeds of your desired reality in the fertile soil of your imagination, nurturing them with the feelings of fulfillment. When you do this, the outer world will begin to reorganize itself to reflect your inner vision. Detachment requires discipline and faith. The senses are persistent, and the world may offer evidence that seems to counter your efforts. In those moments, remind yourself that appearances are not final. They are merely shadows cast by previous states of mind. Anchor yourself in the certainty that the unseen reality you hold within is more real than the fleeting conditions around you. The physical world is plastic and responsive to the impressions you impress upon it through thought and feeling. Meditation and visualization are invaluable tools in this process. Set aside time each day to quiet the chatter of the senses and immerse yourself in the feeling of your desire already fulfilled. Picture it vividly. Engage all your inner senses, and most importantly, feel the emotions associated with its realization. The more you dwell in this state, the less power the outer world will have to sway you. Your role is not to fight against what is, but to align yourself with what can be. The evidence of the senses may scream doubt, but your faith in the unseen must remain unwavering. Over time, the persistent focus on your inner vision will override the limitations of the senses, and the outer world will yield to the truth of your inner conviction. By detaching from appearances and anchoring yourself in the unseen, you activate the creative power within you and become the master of your reality. Persistence in the assumption of your desire is the cornerstone of transformation. It is not enough to momentarily entertain the thought of your wish fulfilled. You must live in that state repeatedly and consistently until it becomes your reality. The mind, when left unchecked, will naturally revert to its old patterns, pulling you back into the familiar limitations of reason and appearance. This is why persistence is essential. It serves as the bridge between your imagined reality and its manifestation in the physical world. When you assume that your desire is already fulfilled, you are engaging in a deliberate act of creation. This assumption must become your dwelling place, the mental state in which you reside, regardless of what the outer world shows you. At first, this may feel unnatural, as the evidence of the senses will often contradict your assumption. But the key is to remain steadfast, trusting that the inner reality you consistently affirm will eventually harden into fact. Persistence requires discipline. It is easy to fall into doubt or despair when your desires seem distant or unattainable. The rational mind will question the validity of your belief, pointing to the absence of tangible proof. Yet this is precisely when persistence must take over. You must remind yourself that the outer world is not the source of your reality. It is merely the reflection of your inner state. Persistence in the brain changes the state within, and the reflection must change as well. One of the most effective ways to persist is through repeated affirmation and visualization. Affirm to yourself with conviction that your desire is already yours. These affirmations are not empty words, they are declarations of truth that impress your subconscious mind. Combine them with vivid mental images of your fulfilled desire. See yourself living in the end state, experiencing the joy, peace, or excitement that comes with it. Do this regularly, especially during quiet moments of the day or just before sleep when your mind is most receptive. Persistence also involves a willingness to ignore setbacks and delays. The manifestation of your desire may not happen immediately, and there may be times when the outer world appears to move in the opposite direction. These moments are tests of your faith and commitment. Do not waver. Instead, double down on your assumption, reaffirming your belief in the unseen reality. Treat every apparent obstacle as an illusion, knowing that the ultimate outcome is already secured within you. A helpful practice is to act as if your desire is already a fact. This does not mean forcing actions in the outer world, but rather aligning your thoughts, feelings, and attitudes with the fulfillment of your desire. How would you feel, think, and behave if you already had what you wanted? Begin embodying those qualities now. This alignment creates a harmonious resonance between your inner and outer worlds, accelerating the process of manifestation. Persistence is not about struggle or effort. It is about consistency and faith. You are not forcing the universe to deliver your desire. You are aligning yourself with the reality where your desire already exists. The more you persist in this alignment, the more natural it becomes, and the easier it is for your subconscious mind to accept it as true. Persistence transforms belief into knowing. What begins as an assumption gradually solidifies into a conviction that cannot be shaken. This conviction, once established, becomes the foundation upon which your new reality is built. By persisting in the assumption of your desire, you align yourself with the creative power within and open the door of your imagined reality to manifest in the physical world. Doubt is an inevitable part of the journey toward fulfilling your desires. It arises when the rational mind, tethered to the evidence of the senses, questions the reality of what you seek to manifest. But doubt does not have to be a stumbling block. It can become a stepping stone. Every doubt, every moment of hesitation is an opportunity to reaffirm your inner conviction and deepen your faith in the unseen reality you are creating. Instead of seeing doubt as an enemy, learn to see it as a tool that strengthens your belief. When doubt arises, it is often accompanied by the voice of reason. Reason operates within the boundaries of what is known and proven, and it tends to resist anything that challenges those limits. But your desires often lie beyond the realm of the known. If you were already living in your desired reality, there would be no need for imagination or faith. Doubt, then, is a natural reaction to stepping into the unknown. However, it is not a sign that you are off course. It is a sign that you are expanding into new possibilities. The first step in turning doubt into an opportunity is to recognize it for what it is. A thought, not a fact. Doubt only has power if you allow it to take root and grow. When a doubtful thought arises, observe it without judgment and remind yourself that it is merely a reflection of your past conditioning. It does not define your future unless you give it permission to do so. In this way, doubt becomes a mirror, showing you the areas where your faith needs to be strengthened. Instead of resisting doubt or trying to suppress it, use it as a prompt to reaffirm your belief. Each time a doubtful thought enters your mind, counter it with a deliberate affirmation of your desired state. For example, if doubt tells you this will never happen, respond with, "It is already done. My desire is a reality now." Repeat this affirmation with conviction, feeling the truth of it as you say it. Over time, this practice rewires your mind, making faith the dominant response instead of doubt. Obstacles and challenges in the outer world often trigger doubt. but these two can be reframed as opportunities. Every obstacle is a chance to prove to yourself that your inner conviction is stronger than any external circumstance. Instead of seeing an obstacle as evidence that your desire is unattainable, see it as a test of your faith. Ask yourself, how can I use this situation to deepen my trust in the process? It's not necessarily when you approach challenges with this mindset, they lose their power to derail you and instead become catalysts for growth. Faith is like a muscle. It grows stronger with use. Doubt provides the resistance necessary for that growth. Just as physical exercise requires tension and effort to build strength, spiritual growth requires moments of uncertainty to deepen your reliance on your inner power. Embrace these moments as opportunities to practice unwavering faith in the unseen. Each time you overcome doubt, you reinforce your belief, making it more resilient and unshakable. The key to turning doubt into an opportunity is to remain rooted in the feeling of your desire already fulfilled. No matter what your mind or the world around you suggests, hold fast to the inner conviction that your desired reality exists and is unfolding perfectly. Use visualization, affirmation, and gratitude to keep your focus on the end result rather than the obstacles along the way. Gratitude in particular is a powerful antidote to doubt. When you feel grateful for your desire as though it has already been achieved, you align yourself with the frequency of fulfillment, dissolving doubt in the process. Doubt is not something to be feared or avoided. It is an essential part of the journey. It is through confronting and overcoming doubt that you build the unshakable faith required to manifest your desires. Each time you choose belief over doubt, you strengthen your connection to the creative power within you. And as your faith grows, the outer world will inevitably reflect the reality of your inner conviction. Trusting in the timing of the unseen is an act of surrender, a declaration of faith in the invisible processes of life. When you plant a seed, you do not dig it up every day to check if it has sprouted. You trust that the seed will grow in its own time, unseen beneath the soil, before breaking through into the light. In the same way, the manifestation of your desires follows an unseen process that requires your trust, patience, and belief in its perfect timing. The rational mind often demands control, wanting to dictate how and when your desires should appear. This need for control stems from fear, the fear that if you let go, your desire will remain unfulfilled. But the truth is, control is an illusion. Manifestation operates on a higher plane, one that is not bound by the limitations of human reasoning or the constraints of time. To trust in the unseen is to acknowledge that there is a greater intelligence at work, orchestrating events in ways that your conscious mind cannot comprehend. Releasing the need to control does not mean becoming passive or indifferent. On the contrary, it requires an active commitment to your inner vision. Your role is to maintain the feeling of your desire already fulfilled, to align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the reality you wish to experience. Once you have set your intention and embodied the feeling of fulfillment, the how and when are no longer your concern. These details belong to the unseen forces that bring your desires into being. The timing of manifestation is always perfect, though it may not align with your expectations. What feels like a delay is often preparation. The universe is arranging the circumstances, opportunities, and people necessary for your desire to materialize in the most harmonious way. Sometimes you may not be ready to receive what you are asking for, and the delay serves as an opportunity for growth and alignment. Trust that every moment, every experience is moving you closer to your desired outcome, even if it is not immediately apparent. A powerful way to cultivate trust is to look back on past experiences where things worked out in ways you could not have planned or predicted. Reflect on moments when what you needed came to you at the perfect time, often in unexpected ways. These memories serve as reminders that life has a rhythm and intelligence far greater than what the rational mind can grasp. Trusting in the timing of the unseen means believing that this same intelligence is at work in your current situation. Doubt and impatience often arise when the outer world shows no evidence of progress. In these moments, remember that manifestation begins in the unseen realm. Just as a seed takes time to germinate beneath the surface, your desires are growing in ways that are not immediately visible. Resist the urge to measure progress by external signs alone. Instead, turn inward and reaffirm your faith in the process. Feel the reality of your desire as though it is already complete, and let this feeling guide your thoughts and actions. Gratitude is a powerful tool for reinforcing trust. When you express gratitude for your desire as though it has already been fulfilled, you align yourself with the frequency of abundance and fulfillment. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance, dissolving fear and impatience. It reminds you that the unseen forces are always working in your favor, even when the evidence is not yet visible. Trusting in the timing of the unseen requires a balance of intention and surrender. Intention sets the course, while surrender allows the process to unfold naturally. When you release the need to control and trust in the perfection of divine timing, you open the door for miracles to occur. Your role is to hold the vision, embody the feeling of fulfillment, and remain steadfast in your faith. The how and when are not yours to manage. They are the domain of the unseen, which always delivers in ways more magnificent than you can imagine. In the journey to believe in the unseen and manifest your desires, the key lies in shifting your focus inward, beyond the limits of reason and the evidence of the senses. Imagination is the foundation of belief, and your ability to feel your desires as real, detached from the outer world, persist in your assumptions, turn doubts into opportunities, and trust in divine timing all play a vital role in creating your reality. Manifestation is not about controlling the external, it is about mastering the inner. As you align your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs with your desired outcome, the outer world must reflect it back to you. The power to transform your life is already within you. Your belief, nurtured and unwavering, has the ability to bend reality and bring forth miracles. Trust in the process, hold steadfast to your vision, and let faith guide you. The unseen forces are always working on your behalf, orchestrating the perfect outcomes in perfect timing. Thank you for allowing me to share this journey with you. May you walk forward with confidence, clarity, and the unwavering belief that all you seek is already yours. Blessings to you.
Let me tell you something about kindness. It's a beautiful thing, a noble thing. But if you're not careful, it'll make you invisible to the very people you're trying to help. Why? Because too many people confuse kindness with weakness. They see your gentleness and mistake it for a lack of strength. But hear me loud and clear. Kindness is not weakness. It's strength restrained. It's power in control. But the moment you forget to set boundaries, the world will test you. People will push, prod, and take until there's nothing left of you to give. You see, respect and kindness are not the same thing. Respect comes from setting boundaries. It comes from standing firm when the world tells you to bend. When you allow someone to take more than you're willing to give, you're teaching them that your kindness has no backbone. And trust me, people don't respect what they can control. Familiarity breeds contempt. You've heard that, right? When you're kind all the time, when you're the one always saying yes, the one always showing up, people stop appreciating you. It's human nature. They start to expect you to be that way, and the moment you step back, they question you. Not because they miss your kindness, but because they feel entitled to it. The truth is, kindness without balance shifts the power dynamic. You hand over your power when you think being kind means saying yes to everything. But kindness is not about pleasing others. It's about standing tall in your integrity, even if it means saying no. And let me tell you this, if you're kind and people don't respect you, it's not because kindness is the problem. It's because you've forgotten the balance. Kindness with strength earns respect. Compassion with confidence commands authority. So here's my challenge to you. Don't stop being kind. The world needs more kindness. But let your kindness come with boundaries. Be kind, but be firm. Be compassionate, but stand tall. Because when kindness comes from strength, not weakness, the world has no choice but to respect you. Kindness is one of the most misunderstood traits in human nature. It is often seen as a weakness, a sign of being too soft or incapable of standing up for oneself. In a world that seems to reward aggression, assertiveness, and cutthroat ambition, the quiet strength of kindness is easily overlooked. People mistake a gentle demeanor for a lack of willpower and misinterpret compassion as an inability to be firm. However, true kindness requires an immense reservoir of strength, discipline, and self-awareness, qualities that many fail to recognize or appreciate. To be kind in a world that often values dominance over cooperation is an act of courage. It is easy to react with anger when faced with challenges or opposition. It is effortless to shout louder, fight harder, and demand attention to impose one's will. But kindness demands restraint. It requires you to hold back when it would be easier to lash out. It takes strength to choose understanding over judgment and empathy over indifference. It's not about being passive, it's about being in control. A kind person isn't weak, they are deliberate in their actions, consciously deciding to treat others with respect and humanity, even when it's not reciprocated. But society tends to undervalue this strength. People often equate kindness with naivety, thinking that those who are kind must be unaware of the harsher realities of life. They assume that kindness comes from a place of ignorance, as if being kind means you don't understand how the world works. But the opposite is true. Kindness is often born from deep understanding. It comes from someone who has seen the ugliness of life, but chooses not to mirror it. It comes from a place of wisdom, from knowing that compassion can heal wounds that aggression will only deepen. It takes far more courage to respond to cruelty with grace than to retaliate in kind. The world also conditions us to believe that those who are assertive and domineering are the ones who succeed. You see it in competitive workplaces, in social hierarchies, and even in relationships. People who demand respect often get it, even if they lack the moral character to deserve it. Meanwhile, those who offer kindness without asking for anything in return are often overlooked or undervalued. This creates a misconception that being kind puts you at a disadvantage, that it makes you vulnerable to exploitation. While it's true that some may try to take advantage of your kindness, this does not make kindness a flaw. Instead, it highlights the need to pair kindness with discernment and self. Being kind does not mean you have to tolerate disrespect or allow others to walk over you. True kindness is not about self-sacrifice to the point of neglecting your own needs. It is about balance. It is about recognizing your own worth while also valuing others. This balance is where the real strength lies. It takes courage to stand firm in your boundaries while maintaining a kind heart. It takes resilience to keep choosing kindness, even when it's met with ingratitude or contempt. And kindness also requires a level of self-control that many people struggle to achieve. It's easy to let emotions like anger or frustration dictate your actions. It's much harder to pause, take a deep breath, and respond with patience and understanding. This self-control is not a sign of weakness. It's a mark of emotional intelligence. It shows that you have mastery over your own emotions and that you refuse to be dragged down to a lower level of behavior by someone else's negativity. This strength often goes unnoticed, but it is one of the most powerful aspects of kindness. The perception of kindness as weakness is a reflection of society's own insecurities and misunderstandings. People who dismiss kindness are often those who fear vulnerability, mistaking it for a lack of strength rather than a profound form of courage. They fail to see that kindness is not about being agreeable or avoiding conflict. It's about choosing to rise above petty disputes and maintaining your integrity, no matter the circumstances. So, while kindness may be misunderstood, it is far from weak. It is a quiet strength that speaks volumes, even when others fail to listen. It is a choice to hold on to your humanity in a world that sometimes seems to reward its loss. And though it may not always be easy, kindness remains one of the most powerful forces in the world, a force that transforms, heals, and ultimately strengthens those who embody it. Kindness is one of the greatest virtues, but without boundaries, it can lead to unintended consequences. When kindness is given freely and without limits, it often becomes a double-edged sword. While it may begin with good intentions, unchecked kindness can quickly transform into a tool for others' convenience. People may start to see your generosity not as a gift, but as something they are entitled to. And this entitlement can lead to exploitation. This is why boundaries are not only important, but essential. They are the framework that protects your kindness from being misunderstood or abused. When you lack boundaries, you send a silent message that your time, energy, and efforts are infinitely available. This might not be your intention, but without limits, people often assume they can take from you without giving anything in return. Over time, this creates an imbalance in relationships. The kindness you once gave freely becomes an expectation rather than something to be appreciated. People begin to rely on your constant willingness to help, and instead of valuing your efforts, they start to take them for granted. This is not because kindness itself is flawed, but because human nature often struggles to appreciate what comes without conditions. Boundaries act as a safeguard. They ensure that your kindness is given intentionally, not out of obligation or guilt. They remind others that while you are compassionate and willing to help, you also have limits. This isn't selfishness, it's self-respect. Setting boundaries does not mean you are any less kind. It means you understand the value of your time, energy, and emotional resources. It means you are choosing to give from a place of abundance rather than depletion. Without boundaries, kindness can become exhausting. When you give and give without considering your own needs, you risk burnout. You may find yourself constantly stretched thin, trying to meet everyone else's expectations while neglecting your own well-being. Over time, this can lead to resentment. You might start to feel unappreciated or even taken advantage of, and the joy that once came from being kind begins to fade. This is why boundaries are so critical. They allow you to protect your energy and maintain the positive feelings that come from acts of kindness. It's important to understand that boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about creating space for mutual respect. They teach others how to treat you. When you set clear limits, you are showing others that while you are willing to be generous, you also expect to be treated with respect. Boundaries do not make you less kind, they make your kindness more meaningful. They make you ethically responsible and even offer an abundance of motivation to provide both duty to you and the family that you have. When people know that your generosity is not infinite, they are more likely to appreciate it when you do choose to help. Some people may resist your boundaries at first. They may feel entitled to your kindness and become upset when you start to assert yourself. This can be difficult to face, especially if you are someone who naturally wants to avoid conflict. But standing firm in your boundaries is an act of self-care. It is a way of honoring your own needs while still showing compassion to others. Over time, the people who truly value you will respect your boundaries, and those who don't may drift away. This is not a loss. It is a necessary realignment that allows you to surround yourself with people who genuinely appreciate and respect you. Boundaries also help you avoid enabling unhealthy behavior. When you are always available to solve other people's problems, you may unintentionally prevent them from taking responsibility for their own actions. Kindness without boundaries can sometimes do more harm than good, as it allows others to rely on you rather than learning to stand on their own. By setting limits, you encourage others to grow and take accountability for their own lives, which is a greater act of kindness than constantly rescuing them. Kindness is most powerful when it is paired with self-respect. Boundaries ensure that your kindness is given freely and authentically, not out of obligation or fear of rejection. They allow you to maintain your sense of self while still being generous to others. When you set boundaries, you are not being unkind, you are honoring both yourself and those around you by creating a healthy dynamic where kindness can truly thrive. Kindness is a gift, not a duty. It loses its value when it is given without thought or care. By setting boundaries, you preserve the integrity of your kindness. You ensure that it is received with gratitude and not taken for granted. Boundaries define respect, not just the respect others show you, but the respect you show yourself. And when your kindness is rooted in self-respect, it becomes a force that uplifts and empowers, both for you and those you choose to share it with. Kindness is a beautiful trait, an expression of humanity's highest virtues. Yet, when given consistently and without fail, it can sometimes lead to unintended consequences. The old adage, familiarity breeds contempt, captures a harsh truth about human nature. The more people grow accustomed to your kindness, the less they tend to value it. When generosity and goodwill become a predictable part of someone's behavior, there is a risk that others will start to see these actions as routine or expected, rather than as the deliberate, meaningful gestures they are. This phenomenon does not stem from the act of kindness itself, but rather from the way human beings often adapt to what they perceive as constants. At first, kindness is received with gratitude and admiration. It feels special, a gift that lights up someone's life in moments of need or struggle. But as time passes and that kindness becomes consistent, some individuals begin to shift their perception. What once felt extraordinary may start to seem ordinary. They stop seeing the effort and intention behind your actions and begin to take them for granted, as though they are entitlements rather than choices. When kindness becomes predictable, it risks losing its impact. This is not because the act itself is any less meaningful, but because people tend to value what feels rare or scarce. Human nature often gravitates toward novelty, and when something becomes a regular part of life, it can lose its initial luster. This is particularly true in relationships, whether personal or professional. When someone is consistently generous, considerate, or forgiving, others may start to expect these actions as a baseline. They may even stop acknowledging the effort or sacrifice involved, assuming that this kindness will always be available no matter what. Over time, this dynamic can lead to feelings of frustration or hurt for the kind person. When you give freely and consistently, expecting nothing in return, you do so from a place of love or goodwill. But when your efforts are met with indifference, or worse, with entitlement, you can feel deeply discouraging. You may find yourself questioning whether your kindness is valued at all, or if it is simply being taken advantage of. This is the danger of unchecked familiarity. It can erode the appreciation that once accompanied your actions, leaving you feeling unseen and undervalued. It's important to recognize that this dynamic doesn't mean you should stop being kind. Instead, it highlights the need for balance and self-awareness. Kindness, when paired with discernment, can avoid the trap of being taken for granted. It's about being intentional with your generosity, ensuring that it is not only appreciated, but also reciprocated in some way, whether through gratitude, respect, or mutual support. This is not to say that kindness should always come with strings attached, but rather that it should be given in a way that fosters mutual respect and understanding. At times, pulling back slightly can also serve as a powerful reminder of the value of your kindness. When people grow too familiar with your generosity, stepping back creates space for them to reflect on what they may have taken for granted. Absence often brings clarity, and in this case, it allows others to see the void left by your kindness and hopefully appreciate it more fully. Ilbide statement ranging tone. This doesn't mean you are being unkind or withholding. It means you are allowing others to recognize and value the effort you put into your actions. It's important to maintain boundaries and self-respect. Being kind does not mean you have to be endlessly available or willing to give at your own expense. It's okay to say no, to prioritize your own needs, and to ensure that your kindness is not being exploited. In fact, setting boundaries often enhances the value of your generosity, as it reminds others that your kindness is a choice, not a given. Another way to address this dynamic is by fostering relationships with people who truly value and reciprocate your kindness. Surrounding yourself with individuals who appreciate your efforts ensures that your kindness is met with gratitude rather than complacency. These relationships become a source of mutual encouragement and support, where kindness flows freely in both directions, rather than being a one-sided expectation. The phenomenon of familiarity breeding contempt serves as a reminder of the complexity of human relationships. While kindness is always a virtue, it is not immune to being misunderstood or undervalued. By being intentional, setting boundaries, and fostering meaningful connections, you can ensure that your kindness remains impactful and appreciated. In doing so, you not only protect your own well-being, but also elevate the value of kindness in the lives of those around you. Kindness is a powerful force, but it thrives best when paired with respect, gratitude, and balance. By recognizing the dynamics of human nature and adjusting accordingly, you can continue to be kind without allowing familiarity to diminish the beauty and significance of your generosity. Instead of letting kindness be taken for granted, you can ensure it is cherished, respected, and truly seen for the gift that it is. Kindness is a remarkable virtue, often viewed as a sign of strength, compassion, and humanity. But when kindness becomes excessive or unchecked, it can create a subtle yet profound power dynamic shift in relationships. Overly kind individuals may unconsciously surrender their power to others, opening the door for domination, manipulation, or exploitation. This shift often occurs not out of malice, but from an inherent imbalance in the way kindness is perceived and reciprocated. When someone is consistently kind to the point of neglecting their own boundaries, it creates a dynamic where others may begin to feel they have control or influence over that person. The overly kind individual often prioritizes the needs of others, bending over backward to accommodate their desires, even at the expense of their own well-being. While this may seem noble on the surface, it inadvertently sends a message that their time, energy, and resources are less valuable than those of others. This perceived imbalance can invite certain people to take advantage of their generosity, exploiting their willingness to give without question. One of the reasons this dynamic emerges is that kindness, when unchecked, is often mistaken for submissiveness. Overly kind individuals might avoid conflict, seek to please everyone, or hesitate to say no, fearing they will upset or disappoint others. While these actions stem from a genuine desire to maintain harmony, they can be interpreted as signs of weakness or passivity. People who are more assertive or self-serving may interpret this behavior as an opportunity to assert dominance, gradually taking control of the relationship. What begins as kindness can quickly evolve into a power imbalance, where one person gives endlessly while the other takes without limits. Another contributing factor is the lack of boundaries. Overly kind individuals may struggle to set limits, fearing that doing so would make them appear selfish or uncaring. This lack of boundaries creates a vacuum where others feel free to impose their will or expectations. When someone consistently prioritizes the needs of others without asserting their own, it shifts the balance of power. The kind person becomes more of a follower than an equal, allowing others to dictate the terms of the relationship. Over time, this can lead to feelings of resentment and exhaustion, as the overly kind individual realizes they have relinquished their agency in favor of pleasing others. This dynamic is further reinforced by those who actively exploit kindness for their benefit. Some individuals are skilled at identifying and manipulating overly kind people, using guilt, flattery, or emotional pressure to maintain control. They know that the kind person will go to great lengths to avoid confrontation or rejection, and they use this to their advantage. For example, they may guilt-trip the kind person into taking on responsibilities they don't want, or manipulate them into making sacrifices they wouldn't normally agree to. In such cases, kindness becomes a tool for exploitation rather than a bridge for mutual understanding and support. The power dynamic shift is not always intentional or malicious, but it is damaging nonetheless. It leaves the overly kind person feeling drained, unappreciated, and at times powerless. They may find themselves wondering why their relationships feel so one-sided, or why they seem to attract people who take advantage of their generosity. The answer lies in the unbalanced dynamic that has been allowed to develop, a dynamic where their kindness has been misconstrued as a willingness to surrender their power. To reclaim their power, overly kind individuals must first recognize the importance of balance in their relationships. Kindness, while valuable, should not come at the expense of self-respect or personal boundaries. Setting clear limits is not an act of selfishness, but one of self-preservation. It sends a message that while they are willing to give, they also expect to be treated with respect and fairness. This shift in behavior can prevent others from taking their kindness for granted and reestablish a sense of equality in their interactions. Reclaiming power also involves learning to say no without guilt. Saying no is not a rejection of kindness, but a way of ensuring that generosity is not misused. It is a way of asserting one's own needs and priorities, reminding others that kindness is a choice, not an obligation. By saying no when necessary, overly kind individuals can create a healthier balance in their relationships, one that values both their compassion and their autonomy. Another key step is surrounding themselves with people who appreciate and respect their kindness. Genuine relationships are built on mutual respect and reciprocity, where kindness is given and received freely without exploitation. By choosing to invest their energy in such relationships, overly kind individuals can protect themselves from those who seek to manipulate or dominate them. Kindness is a powerful force, but it must be wielded wisely. When paired with self-respect, boundaries, and discernment, kindness can uplift and inspire without creating imbalances in power. Overly kind people have the capacity to bring immense value to the world, but they must also learn to protect themselves from those who would misuse their generosity. By reclaiming their power, they can ensure that their kindness remains a source of strength rather than a vulnerability, allowing it to shine brightly in a way that empowers both themselves and those around them. When kindness is consistently offered without balance, it often leads to an unintended and unfortunate consequence: resentment in reciprocity. The dynamic of giving more than you receive can shift the perception of kindness from a genuine act of goodwill to an expectation. Over time, people begin to take generosity for granted, valuing it less, and assuming it will always be there. This imbalance not only erodes mutual respect, but also creates emotional strain for the giver, who may feel undervalued and unappreciated despite their continued efforts. Kindness is an energy, a flow meant to move between people in a balanced and natural exchange. When that exchange becomes one-sided, when one person gives endlessly while the other rarely reciprocates, it disrupts this flow. What begins as a heartfelt act of caring turns into an unspoken obligation in the eyes of the receiver. The giver, eager to maintain harmony or avoid conflict, may continue to give despite feeling drained or overlooked. This imbalance often goes unnoticed at first, but it slowly builds frustration and dissatisfaction within the person who is always giving. At the core of this resentment lies the human need for mutual acknowledgement. People are wired to crave recognition for their efforts, especially in relationships. Whether it's a kind gesture, emotional support, or physical assistance, giving should be met with gratitude and ideally an equal willingness to give in return. When this recognition is absent, the giver begins to feel invisible. Their kindness, once a source of joy, becomes a source of emotional depletion. They may start to question their worth or feel as though their contributions are unimportant. This emotional toll can lead to bitterness, especially if the lack of reciprocity persists over time. The erosion of mutual respect is another significant consequence of unbalanced giving. When people consistently receive without giving back, they can lose sight of the effort behind the kindness. They may stop valuing the giver's time, energy, or sacrifices. This shift in perspective creates a subtle but damaging dynamic where the giver is seen as someone whose role is to serve or accommodate. The relationship, once built on equality, transforms into one where the giver is perceived as less significant or less deserving of consideration. This lack of respect not only harms the giver's self-esteem, but also undermines the foundation of the relationship itself. For the giver, this dynamic often leads to internal conflict. On one hand, they may feel compelled to continue giving, believing it's the right thing to do or fearing they will be seen as selfish if they stop. On the other hand, they may feel increasingly resentful, questioning why their efforts are not being acknowledged or reciprocated. This internal tug-of-war can create feelings of guilt, frustration, and confusion, further complicating the emotional landscape of the relationship. One of the most challenging aspects of this dynamic is that it often reinforces itself. The more the giver provides without receiving, the more the receiver comes to expect. Over time, acts of kindness that were once appreciated become normalized, even demanded. The giver, now operating from a place of obligation rather than genuine desire, may feel trapped in a cycle of giving that no longer brings them joy. He's so desperate, the receiver, meanwhile, may become complacent, failing to see the giver's efforts as exceptional or worthy of acknowledgement. Breaking free from this cycle requires conscious effort and a willingness to address the imbalance. For the giver, it starts with recognizing the pattern and understanding that kindness should not come at the expense of their own well-being. It's important to set boundaries, clearly communicating what they can and cannot offer. This doesn't mean withholding kindness, but rather ensuring that it is given from a place of abundance rather than depletion. By setting limits, the giver creates an opportunity for reciprocity to re-enter the relationship, allowing both parties to contribute equally. Gratitude is another key element in restoring balance. When kindness is acknowledged and appreciated, it fosters a sense of mutual respect and deepens the connection between people. For the receiver, taking the time to express gratitude reminds them of the effort behind the kindness they've received. For the giver, hearing words of appreciation can reignite their sense of purpose and validate their contributions. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to the resentment that arises from unbalanced reciprocity. Givers must learn to recognize and celebrate their own worth. Acts of kindness are valuable not because of how they are received, but because of the intention behind them. When givers understand that their efforts have intrinsic value, they become less dependent on external validation. This shift in perspective helps them maintain their sense of self-worth, even in the face of unbalanced relationships. Kindness is most powerful when it exists within a framework of respect and reciprocity. It is not the act of giving itself that causes resentment, but the lack of balance in the exchange. By fostering mutual acknowledgement and ensuring that kindness flows both ways, relationships can thrive without the emotional strain of unbalanced giving. Kindness, then, becomes a true expression of love and connection, rather than a source of resentment or disappointment. True kindness, at its core, is an act of genuine compassion and care, But without balance, even the purest of intentions can lead to misunderstandings and misplaced perceptions. The key to ensuring kindness is not mistaken for weakness, lies in maintaining a balance, a harmony between compassion and confidence. Kindness should not be a passive quality, but one that operates with strength, self-respect, and a clear sense of boundaries. When you find this balance, it transforms the way people perceive you and the way you perceive yourself. Kindness is often viewed as a soft quality, one that leans towards selflessness and accommodating others. While it is noble to be understanding and giving, it's equally important to recognize that these qualities should not come at the cost of your own self-worth. True kindness is not about sacrificing yourself for the sake of others, but about showing care and consideration without diminishing your own value. When you strike this balance, kindness becomes a powerful force that commands respect rather than inviting exploitation. People respect those who are kind yet assertive because it shows that you value yourself as much as you value others. When kindness is paired with confidence, it sets a standard in your interactions. It communicates to others that while you are willing to help, listen, and empathize, you also expect the same level of respect and understanding in return. This balance sends a clear message. You are compassionate, but you are not a pushover. And that's where the real strength of kindness lies, not in bending over backward for others, but in offering your goodwill from a place of empowerment. The importance of confidence in kindness cannot be overstated. Confidence is the backbone that supports your compassionate nature. It allows you to say no when necessary, to stand firm when your boundaries are tested, and to demand respect in situations where others might try to take advantage of your generosity. Without confidence, kindness can be misconstrued as naivety or weakness, leaving you vulnerable to manipulation. But with confidence, kindness becomes a deliberate choice rather than an obligation, a choice that reflects both your character and your strength. Finding this balance requires self-awareness. You must understand your own needs, values, and limits. If you're constantly giving without considering your own well-being, you risk depleting yourself emotionally and physically. Balance means recognizing when to give and when to step back, when to offer support, and when to protect your own energy. It's about being intentional with your kindness, ensuring that it stems from a place of abundance rather than exhaustion. Setting boundaries is a crucial part of maintaining this balance. Many people struggle with the idea of setting boundaries because they fear it will make them seem less kind or less caring. But boundaries are not barriers, they are guidelines that define how you expect to be treated. They ensure that your kindness is respected and not taken for granted. When you communicate your boundaries clearly and confidently, you teach others how to treat you, and in doing so, you create space for healthier, more balanced relationships. Confidence in kindness also means being comfortable with the idea that not everyone will appreciate or reciprocate your efforts. This can be difficult to accept, especially for those who derive joy from helping others. But it's important to remember that kindness is not about winning approval or seeking validation. It's about staying true to your values and offering your compassion freely without expectations. When you approach kindness from this perspective, you liberate yourself from the need for external validation, allowing your confidence to shine through. Another aspect of balancing kindness and confidence is learning to prioritize. Not everyone deserves your time, energy, or efforts. Being selective with your kindness doesn't make you selfish, it makes you wise. When you focus your compassion on those who genuinely appreciate it and reciprocate it, you create a more meaningful impact. This selective kindness ensures that your energy is spent in ways that uplift both you and others, rather than leaving you feeling drained or unappreciated. When kindness is balanced with confidence, it also changes the way you perceive yourself. It reinforces your sense of self-worth and empowers you to navigate the world with authenticity and strength. You no longer feel the need to overextend yourself to prove your value because you understand that your kindness is an extension of who you are, not a currency to gain approval. This self-assured approach not only enhances your relationships, but also fosters a deeper sense of inner peace and fulfillment. Kindness is most impactful when it comes from a place of balance. It's not about giving endlessly or sacrificing yourself for others. It's about showing compassion with integrity, empathy with strength, and generosity with self-respect. When you balance kindness with confidence, you not only elevate the quality of your relationships, but also inspire others to treat you and themselves with the same level of respect and care. Kindness, when wielded with a backbone, becomes a force that uplifts both the giver and the receiver, creating a ripple effect of positivity and mutual respect. In conclusion, kindness is a remarkable strength when it's balanced with self-respect, confidence, and boundaries. It should not come at the expense of your own dignity or worth. When kindness is paired with clarity, it commands respect rather than invites exploitation. It allows you to uplift others while staying rooted in your own values and well-being. Remember, true kindness isn't about being endlessly giving. It's about being intentionally compassionate, strong, and self-assured. Thank you for your time and for allowing me to share this message with you today. Stay kind, stay strong, and always stay true to yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about strength. It doesn't come from lifting weights. It comes from lifting yourself. When life throws punches, a strong woman doesn't fall. She stands taller, fiercer, and wiser. Life is no easy road, but the strong woman, she doesn't just walk it, she conquers it. When the storm hits, she doesn't ask, "Why me?" She says, "Try me." Her struggles are not setbacks, they are setups for comebacks. A strong woman knows the power of no. She knows that not every invitation deserves her presence, and not every battle deserves her fight. Her boundaries are the walls that protect her peace, and she guards them like a queen protects her throne. You cannot tell her who she is because she already knows. Society may try to label her, criticize her, or even tear her down, but her self-worth is built on a foundation no one can shake. She doesn't seek applause. She moves to the rhythm of her own purpose. Yes, she's kind. Yes, she's compassionate. But don't mistake her kindness for weakness. She'll give you her hand if you're falling, but if you try to pull her down, she'll let go without hesitation. A strong woman isn't just surviving, she's thriving. She has dreams, goals, and a fire in her soul that keeps her moving. Even when others doubt her, even when the road gets tough, she keeps going because she knows where she's headed. Here's the real power. A strong woman doesn't need the crowd to cheer her on. She's comfortable in her own company. Alone or surrounded, she's at peace because she's learned to love herself deeply. She doesn't conform to fit into boxes or play small to make others comfortable. She walks into every room like she belongs there because she does. Her authenticity is her superpower, and she doesn't dim her light for anyone. So, to every woman who's fought battles no one knows about, who stood tall when life tried to knock her down, remember this: you are the definition of strength. And the world isn't just lucky to have you in it. It's better because you're here. Keep shining, keep standing, and keep being unapologetically strong. A strong woman is not defined by the ease of her journey, but by the weight of the storms she has endured. Life, with all its unpredictable trials, has tried to break her, but instead, it has shaped her into a force of nature. She doesn't crumble under pressure, she transforms it into power. Each setback, each obstacle, and every heartache becomes a stepping stone for her ascent. Her strength is not in the absence of pain, but in her ability to rise despite it. She wears her scars proudly, not as reminders of defeat, but as symbols of survival. Every scar tells a story of a challenge faced and overcome, a moment when the world thought she would break, yet she stood tall. Those scars are not blemishes, they are badges of honor, earned through perseverance and grit. They are the marks of a life lived with courage, a testament to her refusal to give up. When the odds were stacked against her, she knows that the beauty of her soul lies not in perfection, but in her resilience. When adversity strikes, she doesn't ask for it to stop. She asks for the strength to endure it. Her mind becomes her sanctuary, a fortress fortified by the lessons learned from her struggles. She understands that pain is temporary, but the growth it brings is permanent. Challenges do not intimidate her because she has seen worse and emerged stronger. She knows that life's trials are not a punishment, but a test, a way to refine her character and sharpen her resolve. What makes her truly remarkable is her ability to face the darkness without losing sight of the light. She doesn't let fear paralyze her. Instead, she uses it as fuel to move forward. When the world seems to close in around her, she finds a way to breathe, to push forward, and to break free. She doesn't run from her problems, she confronts them head-on, knowing that true strength is not in avoidance, but in courage. Her bravery is quiet yet unyielding, a force that cannot be shaken by circumstances. Even in her hardest moments, she finds the will to keep going. She knows that the strength to rise is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes, it's found in the quiet determination to put one foot in front of the other, even when the weight feels unbearable. She doesn't measure her progress by the speed of her recovery, but by the depth of her perseverance. Her strength is steady, like the roots of a tree that holds firm even in the fiercest storm. And when she rises not just for herself, but for others. Her resilience becomes a beacon of hope for those around her, a living example of what it means to overcome. She inspires others to believe that they too can endure and thrive, no matter how tough life gets. Her strength is not just her own, it becomes a ripple, touching the lives of everyone who witnesses it. A strong woman doesn't simply survive adversity, she transforms through it. She emerges with a deeper understanding of her own power, a greater appreciation for life, and a heart that is both fierce and compassionate. She is proof that resilience is not just about bouncing back, it's about rising higher than before. And through it all, she remains unshaken, unbroken, and undeniably strong. A strong woman understands the value of her time, energy, and emotional well-being. She doesn't seek to please everyone, nor does she feel obligated to say yes to every request or expectation. Instead, she has mastered the art of setting boundaries, recognizing that her peace is her sanctuary and protecting it is her responsibility. Saying no is not an act of defiance for her, it's an act of self-respect. She does so unapologetically because she knows that every yes to others without thought is a potential no to herself. She understands that boundaries are not walls to keep people out, but guidelines that teach others how to treat her. They are rooted in her understanding of her worth and her refusal to allow anyone or anything to disrupt her harmony. These boundaries are not negotiable. They are a reflection of her values, priorities, and the deep respect she has for herself. When she draws the line, she does it with clarity and conviction, knowing it's an act of self-preservation rather than selfishness. A strong woman has learned that not everyone will understand or respect her boundaries, and she's okay with that. She doesn't require external validation to reinforce her decisions. She has made peace with the discomfort of others because she knows that prioritizing her own mental and emotional health is not something to feel guilty about. She doesn't allow guilt or manipulation to sway her resolve. Instead, she stands firm, knowing that she can't pour from an empty cup and that her well-being must come first if she is to show up fully in any aspect of her life. She knows the power of her no. It's a word she wields with intention, not out of malice, but out of wisdom. It's a tool that protects her from overextending herself, from becoming drained or resentful. Her no is not a rejection of others. It's an affirmation of herself. It says, I respect you, but I also respect me. She understands that those who truly care for her will respect her boundaries, while those who don't were never meant to be a part of her life in the first place. Her peace is non-negotiable because she knows what happens when she compromises it. She's been there before, burnt out, overwhelmed, and emotionally depleted because she allowed others to overstep. But those experiences taught her a valuable lesson. Peace is priceless. It's the foundation of her strength, her clarity, and her ability to navigate life with purpose. Without it, she cannot thrive. And so she guards it fiercely, not out of fear, but out of love for herself. In relationships, she sets the tone early, making it clear what she will and will not tolerate. She communicates her boundaries with grace, but without hesitation. She understands that love and respect are not just about giving, they're also about receiving in a way that aligns with her values. She doesn't shy away from difficult conversations, knowing they are necessary for maintaining healthy connections. Even in the face of backlash or misunderstanding, she doesn't waver. She has learned that pleasing everyone is a futile pursuit, and the only person she needs to be at peace with is herself. She moves through life with a quiet confidence, knowing that her boundaries are her armor. They are not there to isolate her, but to ensure that her life is filled with meaningful connections, purposeful actions, and a deep sense of fulfillment. A strong woman's boundaries are a testament to her self-awareness and her commitment to living authentically. They allow her to navigate life on her terms, with her peace intact and her heart unburdened. They are her way of saying, I am worthy, and my well-being matters. And in that, she finds her power, her freedom, and her unshakable strength. A strong woman does not measure her worth by the opinions or validations of others. She has cultivated a deep sense of self-awareness, and this inner clarity serves as the foundation of her confidence. Her value is not dictated by how others perceive her, nor is it dependent on fleeting affirmations from the outside world. She knows her worth because she has taken the time to understand who she is, what she stands for, and what she brings to the table. This sense of self-worth is unshakable, rooted not in ego, but in authenticity. She doesn't chase after approval because she understands its fleeting nature. External validation can be a tempting trap, but she knows that relying on it leads to an endless cycle of trying to please others at the cost of her own happiness. She refuses to live her life based on the expectations or judgments of society. Instead, she creates her own standards and measures her success by her own progress, values, and principles. Her self-worth is not a negotiation. It is a non-negotiable fact of her existence. This confidence is not loud or boastful. It is quiet yet undeniable. It's the way she carries herself, the way she speaks, and the way she chooses to show up in the world. It comes from knowing her strengths, embracing her flaws, and owning every part of her journey. She understands that perfection is an illusion and that true beauty lies in authenticity. By accepting herself as she is, she frees herself from the burden of trying to be someone she's not. Her self-worth empowers her to make choices that align with her values, even when those choices are unpopular. She has the courage to say no to situations, relationships, or opportunities that don't serve her highest good. She doesn't settle for less than she deserves because she knows her value and refuses to compromise it for temporary comfort or acceptance. This unwavering belief in herself allows her to navigate life with purpose and conviction. While she appreciates genuine compliments and encouragement, she doesn't depend on them to feel whole. Her confidence is not a product of external praise, it's a reflection of her inner growth. She has taken the time to cultivate a relationship with herself, to understand her dreams, fears, and desires. This self-awareness gives her a sense of stability that no external validation could ever provide. She knows who she is, and that knowledge is her greatest source of power. Her sense of self-worth also allows her to uplift others without feeling threatened. She celebrates the successes of others because she understands that their victories do not diminish her own. She doesn't engage in comparisons or compete for attention because she is secure in her own path. Her confidence radiates outward, inspiring those around her to embrace their own worth and potential. When faced with criticism or negativity, she doesn't let it define her. She discerns between constructive feedback and baseless judgment, using the former to grow and dismissing the latter with grace. She knows that not everyone will understand or appreciate her, and she's at peace with that. Her worth is not up for debate, and she doesn't feel the need to prove herself to anyone. In her presence, there is a sense of strength and peace that comes from knowing she is enough just as she is. She doesn't seek to conform or to fit into molds created by society. Instead, she boldly embraces her individuality, understanding that her uniqueness is her superpower. Her confidence is a quiet but profound declaration of self-love, a reminder that true worth comes from within. A strong woman chooses self-worth over validation every time because she understands that her value is inherent, not conditional. She doesn't wait for the world to acknowledge her, she acknowledges herself. And in doing so, she becomes a beacon of empowerment, a living testament to the transformative power of self-awareness and self-love. You deserve it. A strong woman possesses the rare ability to balance empathy with boundaries, kindness with self-respect. Her heart feels deeply for others, and her compassion is genuine, but she has learned that empathy does not mean allowing herself to be used or disrespected. She understands that her ability to care for others is a strength, not a weakness, and she wields it with discernment. While her heart may open to understand the pain and struggles of those around her, she knows when to draw the line and let go for the sake of her own well-being. Her empathy is rooted in her understanding of the human experience. She knows what it means to struggle, to feel pain, and to long for kindness. This understanding allows her to connect with others on a profound level. She listens without judgment, offers support without hesitation, and stands by those who need her. However, her compassion is not blind. She recognizes that helping someone does not mean sacrificing her peace or tolerating behavior that undermines her self-respect. A strong woman's empathy is not a license for others to take advantage of her. She has the wisdom to recognize when someone is crossing a boundary or exploiting her kindness. She gives, but she doesn't overextend herself to the point of exhaustion or resentment. She knows that true compassion includes caring for herself, and she refuses to pour from an empty cup. By protecting her energy, she ensures that her kindness remains a strength rather than a source of her own suffering. She understands that letting go is sometimes the most compassionate choice for both herself and the other person. When faced with toxic relationships or unhealthy dynamics, she doesn't cling out of guilt or obligation. Instead, she chooses to walk away with grace, knowing that real love and respect cannot coexist with disrespect. She does so without bitterness, carrying no grudge, but instead with the understanding that letting go is a necessary step for her growth and peace. Her compassion is also coupled with accountability. She doesn't enable destructive behavior or excuse actions that cause harm. She believes in holding people accountable while still offering them grace. She knows that empathy isn't about ignoring the truth, but about approaching it with kindness. She can deliver honesty with care, knowing that sometimes the most compassionate thing she can do is to tell someone what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. A strong woman doesn't see her empathy as a weakness because she has turned it into one of her greatest strengths. She uses it to create meaningful connections, to uplift others, and to bring light into the lives of those around her. But she also uses it to understand herself better. She knows when she needs to rest, when she needs to say no, and when she needs to put herself first. Her compassion starts with herself, and from that foundation, it extends outward to the world. She is not afraid to feel deeply, to cry, or to show vulnerability, but she doesn't let her emotions control her. Her strength lies in her ability to process her feelings without being consumed by them. She knows that feeling deeply is a gift, not a burden, and she treats it as such. Yet she is not ruled by her emotions. She makes decisions with both her heart and her mind, ensuring that her empathy is balanced with wisdom and self-care. To some, her combination of kindness and firmness might seem paradoxical, but to her, it is simply who she is. She doesn't compromise her values or her dignity to please others, and she doesn't mistake her ability to care for others as a reason to endure mistreatment. She leads with her heart, but remains guided by her principles. In her, there is a beautiful balance of strength and compassion. She feels deeply, but refuses to let her feelings make her vulnerable to harm. Her empathy is her superpower, but it is one she wields with care and intention. Through her actions, she shows that kindness and self-respect can coexist, and that a heart that feels deeply can also be a heart that knows its worth. A strong woman moves through life with a vision that is both clear and unshakable. She knows who she is and what she wants, and she has the courage to pursue her purpose with unwavering determination. Her vision is not merely a distant dream, it is a calling, a deep sense of purpose that drives her forward no matter what challenges or setbacks come her way. She doesn't wait for the perfect conditions or rely on others to validate her ambitions. Instead, she takes charge of her journey, knowing that her destiny lies in her own hands. Her vision is born from clarity. She has taken the time to understand her goals, her values, and what truly matters to her. This clarity allows her to focus her energy on what is meaningful rather than being distracted by the noise of the world. She doesn't pursue goals for the sake of impressing others or meeting societal expectations. Her drive is deeply personal, fueled by her own passions and beliefs. This intrinsic motivation makes her unstoppable because her purpose is rooted in authenticity. Challenges do not deter her, they strengthen her resolve. She understands that the path to greatness is rarely smooth, but she embraces the obstacles as opportunities to grow. When faced with setbacks, she doesn't see them as reasons to give up, but as lessons to learn from. She adapts, recalibrates, and keeps moving forward with even greater determination. Her courage to keep going, even when the odds seem stacked against her, sets her apart. She knows that success is not about avoiding failure, but about persevering in spite of it. Her drive is matched by her discipline. She is not content with simply dreaming. She puts in the work to turn her vision into reality. She is committed to her goals and takes consistent action, even on the days when motivation feels out of reach. She understands that progress is built through small, deliberate steps, and she is willing to do what it takes to keep moving forward. Her discipline is not rigid or harsh. It is guided by her belief in herself and her purpose. She doesn't shy away from risks or fear stepping out of her comfort zone. She knows that growth often requires taking bold leaps of faith. While others may hesitate or doubt themselves, she takes the initiative, trusting in her ability to navigate whatever comes her way. Her courage is not the absence of fear, but the determination to move forward despite it. She is willing to face uncertainty because she knows that her vision is worth the risk. A strong woman also has the wisdom to seek support and inspiration when needed. She surrounds herself with people who uplift her, who share her values, and who challenge her to be better. She is not afraid to ask for guidance or to collaborate with others who can help her achieve her goals. At the same time, she knows how to stand alone when necessary, relying on her inner strength to keep her moving forward. Her confidence comes from knowing that she is capable of overcoming any challenge, whether she has support or not. Her vision is not just about personal success, it often extends to making a positive impact on the world around her. She is driven by a desire to leave a legacy, to create change, and to inspire others through her actions. Her purpose is bigger than herself, and this gives her an even greater sense of drive. She doesn't just want to achieve her goals, she wants her journey to serve as proof that others can achieve theirs too. In the face of doubt, criticism, or adversity, she stands firm. She knows that her vision may not be understood by everyone, and that's okay. Her confidence doesn't rely on the approval of others. It comes from her unwavering belief in her purpose. She trusts her instincts, listens to her inner voice, and keeps her eyes on the bigger picture. Her vision and drive are the forces that propel her forward, making her a force to be reckoned with. She is not just a dreamer, but a doer, someone who turns ideas into action and challenges into triumphs. Through her determination, she proves that a clear purpose, coupled with courage and resilience, can overcome any obstacle and transform even the boldest dreams into reality. In 2018, her determination led to action. When her family moved to the UK, her life did become a different one, and people joined tribes. Her toughness and stubbornness can overcome any obstacle and transform even the boldest dreams into reality. A strong woman radiates an unshakable inner peace that sets her apart in a world often dominated by external noise and endless distractions. She has learned that her worth is not determined by the opinions, approval, or validation of others. Instead, her sense of self is deeply rooted in an intimate understanding of who she is. This inner peace is her foundation, a steady anchor that keeps her grounded whether she is standing alone or surrounded by a crowd. She has discovered that true wholeness comes from within. Her happiness is not contingent on the approval of others, nor does it depend on circumstances aligning perfectly. She knows that external validation is fleeting and unreliable, often leaving people empty when it fades. Rather than chasing after the opinions of others, she has turned inward, nurturing a relationship with herself that is built on self-respect, self-love, and self-awareness. She is her own sanctuary, a place of calm and strength that no one can take from her. Her peace comes from accepting herself fully, flaws and all. She doesn't strive for perfection or waste time comparing herself to others. Instead, she embraces her uniqueness and understands that her imperfections are part of what makes her human. This self-acceptance allows her to move through life with confidence and ease, unburdened by the need to prove herself. She is content with who she is, and this contentment gives her a quiet strength that is unshakable. Even in the midst of chaos or criticism, she remains calm and composed. She knows that other people's opinions are reflections of their own perspectives, not definitions of her value. When faced with negativity, she doesn't react impulsively or let it disturb her peace. Instead, she responds with grace, choosing to protect her energy and maintain her sense of balance. She has mastered the art of not taking things personally, understanding that her peace is far too valuable to be disrupted by the fleeting judgments of others. Her ability to find peace within herself extends to her solitude. She is not afraid to be alone because she doesn't equate solitude with loneliness. To her, alone time is an opportunity to recharge, reflect, and reconnect with herself. She enjoys her own company and sees it as a chance to nurture her inner world. Whether she is surrounded by people or spending time in silence, she feels at home with herself. Her peace is not dependent on external circumstances, but flows from the wellspring of her inner being. This self-sufficiency does not mean she isolates herself or rejects connection. On the contrary, she values meaningful relationships and understands the importance of community. However, she does not cling to others out of insecurity or fear of being alone. She approaches relationships from a place of wholeness, bringing her authentic self to the table without seeking to fill a void. Her inner peace allows her to give freely and love deeply without losing herself in the process. She has also cultivated the ability to let go of what does not serve her, whether it's toxic relationships, old grudges, or unrealistic expectations. She knows that holding on to these things only disturbs her peace. She chooses to release them, not out of weakness, but out of strength. Letting go is her way of prioritizing her well-being and staying true to herself. She understands that peace is not just the absence of conflict, but the presence of harmony within her soul. Her inner peace is her greatest armor in a world that often seeks to shake it. She remains steady in the face of life's storms, trusting herself to navigate through them with resilience and grace. This unshakable calm is not something she was born with. It is a skill she has cultivated through self-reflection, mindfulness, and a commitment to her own growth. She has learned to quiet the noise around her and listen to the voice within, trusting it to guide her. In her presence, others feel a sense of calm and stability, drawn to the serenity that she embodies. But her peace is not for others to dictate or disrupt. It is hers to protect and cherish. She carries it with her, a quiet reminder of her strength and self-worth. No matter where she goes or what she faces, she knows that her inner peace is her true home, a place she can always return to. And it is this peace that makes her truly unshakable. In conclusion, a strong woman is a powerful force, defined not only by her resilience and inner strength, but by the unwavering sense of peace she carries within. She knows who she is and isn't afraid to show up fully, whether she's alone or in a crowd. Her vision and drive propel her forward with purpose, and her ability to empathize with others is tempered by her strong boundaries and deep sense of self-respect. Above all, she is unshakable in her belief in herself and her worth. She is her own source of validation, finding peace in knowing that her value does not depend on the opinions of others. Thank you for taking the time to reflect on the qualities that make a woman truly strong. May we all continue to embrace these principles, growing in our own strength, compassion, and resilience. Thank you for listening.